My name is Emily Carter, and for most of my adult life, I believed that being quiet meant being safe. I believed that if I didn't demand too much, didn't take up too much space, didn't challenge anyone, then love would stay. I learned the hard way that some people don't value gentleness, they exploit it. Mark told me he didn't love me anymore at his parents' anniversary dinner. Not in private, not gently, not with any regard for what 6 years of marriage deserved. He stood up in the middle of an elegant restaurant, lifted his wine glass like he was about to honor his parents, and calmly said, "I think honesty matters more than comfort, so I'll be honest. I don't love my wife anymore. I haven't for years." The room went dead silent. The pianist stopped playing, forks hovered mid-air, someone's chair scraped against the floor. I felt heat rush to my face, my heartbeat pounding so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. I looked around the table, waiting for someone, anyone, to say something, to stop him, to ask if I was okay. His mother smiled, not broadly, but enough, like this confirmed a private belief she'd held about me all along. His sister let out an awkward laugh and quickly looked away. His father didn't even meet my eyes. He just took a slow sip of his wine as if this were an uncomfortable but necessary business discussion. I sat there frozen, my fork still in my hand, salmon untouched on my plate. "Why would you say this here?" I whispered, my voice barely steady enough to form the words. Mark shrugged, completely unbothered. "Because I'm done pretending." Then he sat back down and continued eating like nothing had happened. That was the moment I understood this wasn't impulsive, this wasn't emotional honesty, it was humiliation, carefully chosen and publicly delivered. We had been married for 6 years, 6 years of shared routines and quiet compromises, 6 years of me working remotely as a brand strategist and designer, while Mark built a fast-paced corporate career. I worked long nights, met deadlines, managed clients across time zones, but because I worked from home, his family decided it didn't count. At family dinners, his mother would ask, "So, are you still freelancing?" Like it was a phase I hadn't grown out of yet. His sister would brag about her new car or boutique business while subtly glancing at my thrifted dress. I smiled politely. I listened. I didn't interrupt. I didn't compete. I thought love meant endurance. That night, after the dinner, Mark didn't walk me home. He didn't check if I was okay. He went back to laughing with his family while I quietly paid my portion and stepped out into the cold air alone. I walked through the city with tears blurring the streetlights, replaying his words again and again, wondering how I'd become so disposable. The next morning, he ended it officially. "You should move out," he said, standing in the bedroom doorway with his arms crossed. "The apartment's in my name anyway." I stared at him, still hoping for a conversation, an explanation, some acknowledgement of our history. "Mark, we need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about," he replied, already reaching for his briefcase. "I'll give you a week." When I came back that afternoon, after meeting a client, my things were already packed, boxes stacked neatly by the door, my clothes folded without care, my books piled randomly, my laptop and tablet shoved into a cardboard box like afterthoughts. 6 years of life reduced to labels written in his handwriting, Emily stuff. I called him immediately. "You packed my things while I was gone?" He had said, "I'm making it easier." Easier for who? He hung up. A few days later, his mother called. Her voice was sweet, practiced, artificial. She told me Mark needed someone more ambitious, someone who could keep up with his future. Then she asked for the bracelet she'd given me on our wedding day, a family heirloom, she reminded me. It belonged with them. I mailed it back the same day. No letter, no explanation. I stayed with my cousin for a while. She tried to be supportive, but I could feel the pity in the room. At night, I cried quietly into a borrowed pillow, replaying every argument, every moment I stayed silent when I should have spoken. During the day, I worked harder than ever. I took on more clients, more projects, more responsibility. Work became the only place where I still felt competent, valuable, in control. 2 weeks later, Mark posted a picture online, him and a woman from his office, smiling, comfortable, her head resting against his shoulder like it belonged there. The caption read, "New beginnings." My phone lit up immediately, friends asking if I knew, if I was okay, if this had been going on for long. I didn't know. Everyone else had. His coworkers, his family, even people I considered friends. I was the last one to find out. That betrayal hurt more than the dinner. What Mark never noticed during our marriage, because he never cared to look, was what I'd been quietly building. 3 years earlier, I'd started freelancing for a small digital startup. 5 people, no budget, big ideas. I redesigned their brand identity, rebuilt their website, crafted their pitch decks, shaped how they presented themselves to investors. When they couldn't afford to raise my pay, the founder offered me something else instead, equity, 4%. I said yes without hesitation and without telling anyone. 6 weeks after that humiliating dinner, the startup was acquired by a major tech firm. My equity was suddenly worth just under $300,000. I stared at the email for a long time, my hands shaking, my heart racing. I didn't celebrate. I didn't post. I didn't tell my family. I called an old college friend, Sophia, who had become a divorce attorney. "Do nothing yet," she told me calmly. "Let him think you have nothing." Mark's lawyer sent divorce papers soon after. The terms were insulting. I keep my freelance work. He keeps the apartment, the car, the savings, the investments. His mother texted again, praising me for being reasonable. Mark told mutual friends the divorce was easy, that I wasn't making things difficult. The meeting was set for Friday afternoon at a cafe near his office. I arrived on time. Mark was already there. So was the woman from the photo. She sat close to him, her hand resting possessively on his arm, looking at me with curiosity and quiet triumph. "Just sign," Mark said, sliding the papers across the table. "Let's move on." I looked at him for a long moment and realized something surprising. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just clarity. I pulled a folder from my bag and placed it on the table. "Do you remember the startup I worked with?" I asked calmly. He frowned, barely. "They were acquired last month," I said. "I had equity, 4%. It's marital property." The color drained from his face. His girlfriend looked confused. His phone rang. His lawyer. I stood up before he finished the call. "You never asked about my work," I said quietly. "You never thought it mattered. That's not my fault." The divorce took months. The apartment was sold. Assets were divided fairly. His family disappeared from my life entirely. No more judgment, no more fake kindness, just silence. And it was peaceful. I moved into a small loft with tall windows and space for a real studio. I launched my own agency. I chose clients who respected me. I stopped shrinking myself to fit into rooms that never wanted me whole. Months later, Mark texted me once. I didn't think things would turn out like this. I deleted the message because I finally understood something important. Silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes it means you're watching, learning, and building strength. And when someone tries to humiliate you to feel powerful, the real victory isn't revenge. It's becoming so strong that their opinion no longer matters.